Hello everybody. Today we'll talk about what happens when one of the most vicious predators in nature takes a liking for human blood. When a hunter goes against a predator. When man has to face a man-eater. Our story takes place in the 1940s around the district of Ramapuram, Chennai. Many farmers reported to the local authorities on the account of the missing cattle. After further investigation, it was discovered that the culprit behind this was a tiger. Tigers usually do not prefer dense vegetation as they are home to pests such as leeches, and tigers have a vast aversion towards them. But since cattle were easy prey, the tiger took a liking to this area. As the number of cattle that were missing only grew, a furious cattle owner decided to take matters into his own hands. He purchased a very large bear trap and set it up next to his cattle. That night, he went to bed and slept soundly. And as misfortune would have it, the tiger came to his farm to fill his belly. Right as he approached the cattle, the trap sprung, the claws planted firmly in the tiger's neck, and as it ran away from the scene, its roars of pain could be heard across the farm. The tiger then rushed into the forest, where it got itself wedged between two hard rocks. As the tiger forcefully got its neck free from the trap, it lost its left eye and its left ear. The farmer came next morning to find his trap had worked. After seeing the immense amount of blood, he concluded that the tiger would die of its wounds. So he pat himself on the back for a job well done and carried on. What came for the next 3 weeks was complete silence. Jacob and his wife were making their way over to the sugarcane plantation with a sack of cane on Jacob's head. Just then, Jacob heard the sound of a tiger's roar. He turned around to see that the tiger had pounced upon his wife. He was shocked and stood helplessly as he could do nothing because he was carrying a sack of cane on his head. The tiger devoured its prey, and as it carried the lifeless body of his wife into the forest, Jenkins noticed that the tiger was missing its left eye and its left ear. Over the next few weeks, many more such attacks would follow. From a road worker to a coolie, one by one, they all fell prey to the merciless attacks of the man-eater. Kenneth Anderson was a hunter and a prolific writer. At the time of the attacks, Kenneth Anderson was in Bangalore. As soon as he heard of the killings, he rushed towards Ramapuram. He renewed his hunter's license and gathered as much information as possible about the tiger. He learned that the man-eater was a male at about the age of 18 to 20 and was massively injured as he was missing a left eye and a left ear. He also learned that it operated anywhere between Ponnachai Malai and Bangalore. This was a problem, as this was a massive sprawl of 100 square kilometers of area, and it's no ordinary task for one man. But Kenneth Anderson is no ordinary man. He made an educated guess that most of the attacks that was described to him were lies, and that the villagers were mistaken. He also concluded that the tiger most likely operated only around Ramapuram. He hired 2 local shikaris for assistance and got ready to hunt. Just then, a strange man approached Kenneth. It was Jacob. He vowed revenge for the death of his wife and would do anything to make sure that this tiger would die. Kenneth liked the smile of the man. He also liked the appearance that Jacob put on. And so Jacob joined the team. Next morning, the men bought 3 bulls to set as bait. They tied one near a stream bed. They tied another near the milestone where the coolie was attacked. They tied the last one in a small forest region. Hoping that the traps would work, they returned back to base. Nothing happened on day 1, but on day 2, one of the henchmen reported to Kenneth that the bull near the small forest had been killed. Kenneth asked the henchman to go to the local authorities while he would try and track the tiger all by himself. Kenneth loaded his rifle and approached the crime scene. He noticed that the bull had been devoured. This was no ordinary tiger. He followed the paw marks close by the scene. It went on for kilometers. Eventually, he noticed that the marks led up to a nearby cave. Kenneth went to a nearby spot where he could get a good look at the entrance. He aimed his rifle at the entrance and waited for a while. But the tiger that emerged from the entrance of the cave was not the man-eater. It was a tigress. And it had a cub. Kenneth, using his better judgment, decided not to kill the tiger, and so he headed back to the lodge with empty hands. Kenneth returned to the lodge. He reported to the henchman and Jakin that it was a false alarm, and that this wasn't the man-eater, but a tigress that killed the bull. Disappointed, they all went to bed. That night, Kenneth had the weirdest of nightmares. It was his mother. She asked him to make an investment in the tea estate of India, as it would be a flourishing market in the future. Kenneth was confused. He woke up from his dream. He never liked the look of that horrible hag, and so he knew that he could not go back to sleep again. He decided that he would go and check on one of the bulls, and so he went back to the milestone where the coolie was killed to see if the bull was still alive. It was a long trek in the dark of the night. Once Kenneth reached the spot, he saw that the bull was in fine condition, but was startled by something. He realized danger was afoot. He kept a wary eye. Just then, it was the man-eater. It attacked him out of the dark. It was waiting for him, just so that he could ambush Kenneth. Kenneth, being aware of the situation, jumped away from the tiger. He barely missed the tiger's pounce and got away by the skin of his teeth. The tiger, realizing this, pounced again at him for the second time. This time, Kenneth dodged the tiger and hid behind the bull, hoping that he could gather himself in the midst of the situation. But the tiger decided it had enough. It jumped atop of the bull and stared into Kenneth's eyes. Kenneth knew this was it. He had fought his best. He accepted death as he faced the tiger and knew that he would not walk away from this fight alive. Kenneth closed his eyes and accepted the inevitable. But just then, he heard a gunshot. He opened his eyes to see that the tiger was stopped dead on its tracks. It was Jakin. He shot but missed the tiger, but it was enough to startle the tiger and stop it dead on its tracks. Taking advantage of the time, Jakin threw a rifle towards Kenneth. Kenneth caught it immediately, and they both opened fire at the tiger. The first shot, which Kenneth triggered, contacted the tiger in its jaws. However, this did not stop the tiger, for it was still moving about. Kenneth, noticing this, went for a second shot, but he missed and hit the bull instead. Finally, Jakin shot the tiger clean in its heart, killing it once and for all. After putting the massive tiger down, they took a sigh of relief, knowing that this was the final time they would ever see the man-eater. They looked around the area to see that there were pug marks around, and that the tiger had clearly been here for a while. It was not interested in the bull, and it was waiting for the human who had set it in place. Kenneth realized that the world would be a safer place without a beast this dangerous. And so, as the sun rose on a new day, Kenneth and Jakin lived happily ever after.